Pitch Grounders, we are live again today with your favorite founder, that's Simeon, and he is the founder of Voxpow, as you know. Now, Voxpow is a tool that adds a new functionality to your website, that adds a functionality that's not unlike any other. That's voice search functionality. So you can convert any website into a voice search enabled website using Voxpow. And currently, Voxpow is available on a lifetime deal. So let's wait for people to join in and we will begin this webinar. We also have many things planned for you today that is about technical SEO. So people are joining in. We have viewers coming in. Right now, there are 3 viewers. So, viewers, wherever you're joining this from, introduce yourself, drop in your location down in the comment section down below, because today's topic is going to be interesting, and today's topic is a topic that I personally am very bad at telling you straightforward, because technical SEO is not my field. Technical SEO, I always stay away because it's too technical, and that's why we are asking Simeon. That's why we are presenting this webinar where you can get to know the basics of technical SEO, and you can ask your doubts if you have any doubts about technical SEO. The goal of this webinar would be to learn about technical SEO and implement this on your website, and to clear all your doubts that you have about technical SEO. So we have Simeon with us, who is the founder of Voxpow, a tool that adds a voice search functionality to your website. So Simeon, how's everything going at your end?
Hi, Pitch Grounders. Hope you are doing great. Hope you are fine. So yeah, everything is good here. Just prepare for the webinar. I hope to give a lot of value and a lot of good insights to the audience. So I'll show some of the basics, some important things. The theme is huge also, but for sure we will share some knowledge which is important to know, and you should know it. And I think it is very, very important to understand at least the basics, so to keep go and do whatever you are planning to extend your website and so on.
Absolutely. As a business owner having a website online, it's important to really understand at least the basics of SEO, because we publish blogs, we publish different types of articles and make different pages on our website. And in the end, if this isn't showing on Google, then we are making a mistake and we are losing out on a ton of business. And that's why every business owner needs to learn at least the basics of SEO, so that he or she is well versed and doesn't lose out on the important business that comes organically for free without spending a dime on ads. That's the power of SEO, and SEO is done long term. Am I right?
Yeah, you're totally right. And on the top of that, I'll share in the presentation one tool, which is basically a Chrome extension, which I made in the past, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but it is still actual and the information is still good enough. So I'll show it on the presentation, how to work with that. So it helps a lot with the day-to-day work, checking your website, trying some things and so on. So you'll see that in the presentation. And yeah, SEO is important. The importance is to making some links. I think all of you know about that, but also spending some time on the technical part is also crucial, because when you are doing the two things, everything's make the better results. So not focusing on just one of the topics, but knowing the technical stuff, at least some basics, and also the links is the key to success in the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, before we get started with the webinar for today, would you like to tell people about what is Voxpow, and can you introduce us like the team behind Voxpow and how it got started?
Yeah, so Voxpow is a tool for adding speech recognition, voice commands to your website. I'm the founder, like you already know maybe, and I'm the main developer. I started to make this tool not far away, but I have the idea in the past. So I implement it. After that, I need some people to make some the front end and some little stuffs on the tool. So our team is not so big, but we are currently fine to do the job, and we are constantly at some new features. We have big plans. We are adding some models for deep learning, so we are training our own models to support more languages and so on. So we are planning to extend the functionality in the near future. So yeah, we have big roadmap. You can check it to our website. And yeah, Voxpow is a tool which you can easily install to your website, and you can immediately start receiving speech recognition commands and so on to your website, and you can keep track of those in Google Analytics and the dashboard. So it is pretty extensive tool right now. A lot of options. A lot of guys are a little bit confusing by the lot of options which we have, but we maybe could make a webinar to show everything from scratch, so we can discuss later, and probably such webinar is a good thing to have.
Yes, we will be making a webinar soon. That's what we were discussing this morning about A to Z about Voxpow and how the tool is done, installed, used, etc. And that webinar will be coming soon to you guys. And make sure you wait for that webinar because we're going to reveal everything about Voxpow, how to set it up on a fresh website, walk you through it, explore the features, the Google Analytics integration, etc. But today's topic is about technical SEO, and technical SEO for me is hard. And a lot of you guys, let's be honest, okay? Let's be really honest. It's tough, okay? I don't want people to say, "Hey, Minank, it's just tough for you. It's easy for us, etc." Nothing like that. I mean, I'm just being biased here a little bit, but yes, and that's why we took to a time to schedule the topic of technical SEO today. And Simeon will walk us through the basics of technical SEO today. So, Simeon, I think we have done a lot of talking. So let's
Yeah.
share the screen
Okay.
and get started with today's webinar.
Let's try to do
Simeon
this.
will also show the Chrome extension and how to use that for your SEO benefits. So people can see your screen, and I'm gonna vanish right now, and let's
Okay.
start this presentation for technical
Okay.
SEO.
Okay. Yeah. So screen is shared. Everything should be visible. And yeah, today we were talking about technical SEO. For sure, the topic is very broad, and we have a lot of things to cover. So I'll just cover some of the things, the basics. I'll show some real examples. It will be not only slides webinar. I'll show some real cases and show some real things basically. And yeah, we'll go through some of the really important things you should know about your website and the technical things which are behind every website. So the content we are going through is here. We will spend maybe 30 or 45 minutes, depends on the how we are going. We'll say what is the technical SEO because we said maybe more than 10 times, but never say what is this exactly. So it will be the first thing to explain. After that, we'll explain some of the things like server status codes, what it is about, why we should care about them, and so on. We'll talk about the canonicals. I will show you an example of good canonicals when a website is make everything proper. So you can check our website, but I'll show you live. And also we'll see an example which I found, to be honest, today, which is really mess. And one thing you can imagine is that the website is running really good, so nothing visual is bad, but when you check the code and when you see this problem, you can explain that there will be a really big drop on the traffic in few weeks or days. So we'll cover also sitemap and robust.txt. I'll show some examples on that topics also. We'll show also some advanced examples of sitemap.xml generation. And yeah, like I said, we'll cover some real examples and some slides with information about the theoretical part. So who am I? We already talked a little bit. I'm the leading developer and the founder of the platform. Live in Bulgaria and currently making PhD in Sofia University. And yeah, let's get to the topic. What is technical SEO? Uh, you all know that the SEO consists from two big parts. The one part is making links and putting on blog posts and so on, putting everywhere you can imagine, which is another big topic. But today we will talk about the technical parts, which refer to optimizing your site and more concrete your crawling and indexing, which is the technical process you perform to your website in order to be more good accepted from the crawlers and the bots. Also, we will talk about some of the technical things which you need to perform in order to be your site to be more easy to crawl and to be indexed in Google search engines. And we will cover a little technical things which are not so easy maybe if you heard them for first time, but when you spend some time investigating and reading a little documentation about it, you see that they are not so hard to understand because they are logical, and you can see that almost every good ranking website use the good approaches which are already defined by the search engines. So, like I promised, I'll show the Chrome extension. It is a free extension. You can install it right away, and you give you the ability to check your website and every website basically you want. So this is the link. I'll share the presentation link is like that. You can copy and write it down to see the link, but that's the extension. It is free and you can read about it here what it will make. I make this maybe 3 years ago, not sure, but like I said, it is still working fine, and even the things are really changed in some directions. It works for the basic things. So when you installed it, you'll see here this little icon. And what's the purpose? When you go to some website, for example, when you visit our website, you can just click this one and you'll see a lot of information which is basically get from with JavaScript, and you can see here. So you can see a lot of important information like meta title, canonical, description, H elements, and so on. So it is really helpful for quick tasks and quick checks, some of the crucial elements to any website. So it works to any website basically, and you just install it and click open and see all the details. It is not so revolutionary, so there is a lot of extensions like this, but I spent in the past a lot of time to make it more easy to use. So here you have some connection to some external tools like PageSpeed Insights and some other online tools. And for example, if you go here and press, we can maybe go to a blog article, it will be a better example. And when you press this one, you see in different color every H element on your page. So basically it's perform a little magic, let's say, and make these elements in different color so you understand which of your web page is H1, which is a title basically, and so on. So you able quickly understand all of those. There is a lot of options here. I will not go through any of these, all of these, sorry, but you can check it by yourself. So for example, you have a button which you can, when you press, you'll see basically all the out and titles to every image you have on the website. So basically a lot of things you can make with this extension. You can notice that here we don't have alt text to the image, and titles, which is something we must fix for sure. And yeah, a lot of things for the pagination and so on. You can check it and you can use it if you think it is good for you. It not collect any information, so you could be find that it's not spying you or something like this. I made in the past, and yeah, it's working fine for now. And you can use it and check it right away. So let's continue with the presentation. Let's go through the topic scanning and indexing. It is very important things to know because the two processes are a little bit different, and there is some misconception that they are equal. So the first one is scanning. The Google bots and the other bots basically scan your website and every website and search for new or changed web pages. So it is one of the things they perform like an action to your website in order to find new content and to be sure that the content you already have is up to date, or if you change it, the crawlers need to understand that. So the next step is indexing. It is the process basically to add the pages to the search engine database, and after that sort and perform some searching on the text and so on. So basically, in the technical SEO, one of the things is to work on these two topics. The first one is to make your website to be easier for scan. So to be sure that you have only pages which are pretty important for your website, and not so some pages which are not so important with less information and so on. And the next thing is to be sure that you have good content. So basically, the indexing part is that the new page should have a unique content and so on in order to be indexed and added to the database and qualified as a good page in order to be indexed, basically. So the algorithms of the search engines are really hard to understand in the whole picture, because there are too many and the ranking factors are a lot, and no one knows all of them. But for sure, the one big part is known to the SEO search engine optimization guys and so on. So we know the ranking factors, most of them, but there is a little misunderstanding for every of those, because not all of those are really known, and we don't know the value of each specific factor. So that is the part which the scanning and indexing. And in the technical SEO field, we try to make the website as easy as possible for scanning, and after that be sure that the content we add is really useful. One of the things which is important is to follow up the Sitemap.xml things and other important stuff we will talk about in this presentation, because basically Sitemap.xml is just a file you send to the search engines, and you basically send a list with all your important pages to the search engines. And this is really useful when you have a large website. You need to ease the search engines to crawl all your pages, because if you don't make this sitemap XML, you have a trouble, because the bots cannot scan your complete website, because every website has some, let's say, limits for crawling. For example, you can imagine that this is 100 pages, and Googlebot have 100 pages for your specific website, and it needs to scan it as soon as possible and as fast as possible. And if you have a lot of low content pages, basically this scanning quota will be will go in those low content pages. So it's pretty important to understand that you have some type of quota, and you really need to consider which pages you are giving links to from your web page. Search operators. Maybe some of you knows that there is search operators which you can use in the browser. So for example, one of the most used operator is cache, and the URL of in the browser. I'll show it right now. What is the purpose of this? The purpose is to show the cached version of a specific page. In the past, it was really hard used, this one, because it was really important to see what the cache is. Now Google changed a little bit the things. It is still important, but it is not the only way to see how your URL is performing. So let's show how you can use this. So for example, if you go to some web page, you can go like this and type this one like this, and you see that if you press enter, you'll see a cached version from your website. So here it's in Bulgarian, but I'll translate it. You can see in your own language. It is a copy of this page which is took on a specific date. You can see here the date, and a note that the current page can be changed in the meantime. So here it's important to check your website, what is the cache version of your specific page, and if this cache is actually existing, because the new pages is possible not to have cache, and you should regularly check if the content you are adding have this cache, because basically it is the page which Google have for your website. So it's pretty important to see how Google see your web page, and it is one of the most used operations and search operation. It is cache and your website URL. We can check, for example, if some of other pages have cache with the same command, and we can quickly identify that we have cache for this specific page, which is a little bit older. Here we could have the insight that main page is frequently visited by the search engine bots. It is a good practice to monitor your website in Google Search Console. We will not have time to cover this because it is a really big topic also, but it is must have to identify and to add your website in Google Search Console, and to check also what is the information for your pages from their insights. But that is the search operation. It is the page cache, and it's basically show the saved version of a specific page of your website. It is really important to understand that Google keeps a version, and it's not refreshing the contents every time it visits your website. So basically you have a version which is in Google database, and when you change something, Google must identify that it is changed, and it will compare with the current version which Google bot have and the new version which you have on your website. We have another search commands which you can use. In the past there was a lot, but currently Google remove a lot of them, and now we don't have the big diversity. For sure there is more working, but in everyday tasks and jobs you can imagine, I think those are the most used one. We talk about cache. The other important, and maybe it is even more important that cache, is site and your domain. So you can quickly find how your Google save your web pages. So basically you can see with this command which pages Google save for your website and already index for your website. It is really important to see the pages which are keep in Google database, because maybe in time you can change some of the URLs and so on, and you need to have a way to quickly identify what Google see for your pages on your website. So let's show this one and the next one, because they are related and these operators could be combined. So let's go here and perform this example, but with 2 slashes. And you can see that for this query, we have 115 results for these pages. Here, when you go, you'll see that every page here, it is, let's say, indexed and have the information for this specific website. Let's say we want to see the pages which have in title block. We can combine with this operator and performing such command, you see all the pages in this website which in URL have block. Let's see if we have this. Yep, we have it. So that's all the blog articles. So you'll see all the blog articles we have already in our website, because we have in URL this blog word. So basically we search by URL. What you can also do is to make something like this, to search in title and to see, let's do like this. So you'll see every result which have in title the word you specified here. So if you don't know, I can explain to you. The title is here, the title of the page. Here is the description you have. So if you open this Chrome extension, you will see that those are the first thing you can see, because they're really important to have this. So they're the first thing to see. And yeah, you can check all the pages you have. One of the things which you need to know about is that when you making a migration from one website to another, or when you change your domain, it is highly possible to change your URL addresses and URL structure. These commands here are really crucial to save your traffic when you perform a migration or something. So for example, you can see your domain and see what pages. Here we trigger this one, but you can see all the pages here Google save for you. And when you click some of those, you'll see, if you change your website, you'll see that they're returning an error, which is 404, which is not found. And that is one of the big reasons for traffic drop if you change your website. So this command really save you a lot of time. There is no so many tools to automate this. There is some, but they're not so many usually and hard to use. And yeah, that could save a lot of things. You can for a lot of work. For example, it is good to know that here you can accept something like regex, and to see if you have a subdomains. So basically, if you have a subdomain to this website which is already cached by Google. For this website, for our website, we don't have subdomains which should be cached by Google. But when you try a website which extensively use subdomains, you can find that we have, for example, a lot of subdomains here. When you put like this, you basically search for a subdomain to this specific domain. You can remove the asterisk and put, for example, some specific domain, and you see all the results from this one. So this command is really common used, and you should know that it is existing, and check what pages Google can extract for your specific domain and so on. So it can be combined with in URL, in title, and so on. So it is pretty important to know. We set the status code, which is 404, but let's get a little bit deeper. The status codes are really important, not only for websites, but for very broad teams like API development and basically all the web development, because they're used a lot, and you should know, at least in my opinion, that every web page and every URL address should return a different status code. Basically, the most important in terms of search engine optimization is 200, which said that the resource or your web page is found, and it is found on this address. And the next one are 301, which is a redirection. It is a permanent redirect. So this said that the page, the URL you are trying to get is with changed address, and they follow the redirect. So the bots and the browser basically follow the redirect, but it is a status code you should know about. And 302 is basically the same, but it is a temporary redirect. So the only difference is that the first one is for longer time, and the second one is for a smaller amount of time. And for 404 is the status code when a web page or resource is not found. It should be returned by every error page. So if you have an error page on your website, it should return for 404 like a status code, and not 200. It is a big problem if your search, if your not found page return 200 like status code and just said page not found. And 500 errors, it's not only 503, but starting with 5, it's server errors, which are not good to have at all, because it said that there is some problem on your website and the specific resource could not return the status code. Here we have a list with the status code. There are a lot. So I said that this one are really important for the search engine optimization work, but there is more to know, but I'll not cover all of them because they are more related if you are performing some APIs or using some APIs. For example, 201 is a status code which indicates that a resource is created, which is obvious, not necessary here, but if you're interested, you can take a look and see which status code also are possible to see. And let's say, let's show an example. So we said that if you have a page which is not found, something like this, it should return a status code, but checking this one is not the right thing, because if we here it's written that it's page not found, it's not enough usually. So you can check some other methods. Here, if you attend to the Google Tag Manager webinars, you maybe already see that console is really important. And yeah, you can see that this page here, which we trigger, and basically the request URL is getting status code 404. It is really important to understand that everything on internet is working in same rules. So you should know about that the crawlers are using all of this information to understand if your website is performed according to Google specifications or not so. So you must know that here you can check available information. If you open this Chrome thing, you should also see that here the status code is 404, and it shows this one also here. But I recommend sticking with these native methods. So this is the important thing, but let's do like this. For example, you see here I don't put any slash and press enter and see the page changed with a slash at the end. We can check this also uh, with two. For example, if you put like this, you can check. There is a lot of tools which you can perform this one. So you can see that the status code here is first 301 and after 404. So basically it is allowed to combine a different status code and to have one end result, and most of the tools show you which is the path to getting through the 404 in this specific way. But if you want to check out the redirection, it is good to use such tools where you can track all the paths to redirection and so on. So the status code, in short, is something you need to consider and you need to know, and at least heard that there is some things like 200, 301, and so on. Another topic is robots.txt. It is basically a file which you can put on your website or on your domain, and you give an instructions to your how Google bots crawl your website. So it's pretty important to understand at least the basics for this robots.txt file. And it can be really dangerous because if you don't know what you are doing or you are not sure what you are specifying this file, you can disallow the access to any bot to your website. So you should consider reading the documentation and be sure that you understand what you are doing. But the easiest way maybe is to follow some good example. So for example, if you open our website, let's see what robots.txt we have. Yeah, we put a little message here that this file should be for robots, not for humans, but I can explain a little bit what is the information here. So it is a common practice to allow everything on your website to be crawled by search engines. That is the situation in this scenario. Also, we said that for every user agent, so the asterisk mean everything, we allow everything. So basically, for every user agent, which is the which is persist in the header of the requests, we allow to crawl all the website. So there is nothing forbidden on this website, and the crawlers are free to crawl every page. We put a host here, which is important for not for Google but for Yandex, which is another search engine. It is not something necessary, but it is a good practice to add a link to your sitemap. We'll talk about sitemap in few minutes, but you should know that it's a good practice having this link here, because you're giving a quick way to open the Sitemap.xml, where all your important pages are listed. So that's an example for robots.txt file. We can check, for example, some other site to see how they do this. And it is on the top level of the domain. Here you can see that we have more advanced robots.txt file. And here we can see that for some user agents, we disallow some of the information. So for example, for every user agent, we disallow some specific paths on the website. So you should consider that this robots.txt should be very carefully checked in the tool of Google Search Console. And if you are not familiar with the syntax, I will recommend you to read here what is the good examples. And if you are not sure, just use this syntax which is here. Just allow every page on your website for every search engine user agent and just point to your sitemap and have this host directive, which is basically for Yandex, and it is not 100% necessary to be here. So you can perform various actions. For example, if you want to disable some specific pages with this disallow directive, which you can put here. So this is a short overview of robots.txt file. It is interesting fact that it is the first file on your web page which the Google bot crawl. So basically, it first tried to open robots.txt file to see what are the rules for this specific website, and after that he started to follow all the pages regarding the rules he already read from the file. So it is pretty important to have this file, and if you are okay with opening every page, to do this in the file. We talk about Sitemap.xml. Let's say what it is about in more details. It is basically a file with some recommendation from Google for the format, but it is a list with every page which you want to send basically to Google in order Google to read and access these pages on a faster way. Because the other way is to crawl your website and found this page by himself. But let's imagine that your website is really huge. It could have a lot of time in order Google bots to see your specific page, which is very deep in your website structure. So it's important to have this sitemap.xml and give all your important pages to Google bots in one file. And it is a good practice to be added in Google Search Console and really helps for a huge and big website, but it is also good to have in smaller websites. And there is different type of sitemap XMLs which you can have for video and images, but it is the must have to have it for URLs, and I will show you how it looks like. So for example, if we go here and if we open the robots.txt file, we'll see that we have the link to sitemap. Robots.txt is a file with a specific format, but sitemap you can name it whatever you want. So it is a good practice to be sitemap.xml, but it is not 100% necessary to do like this, because you said to Google Search Console and the other search engines that you need to send the URL of your sitemap. So it is a good practice to be like that, but not necessary. And here you can see an example to a sitemap XML. If you are using some content management system like WordPress, almost everything of those which we are talking about is included in search engine plugins you could install. But in my opinion, it is really important to understand the basics and to know about what it is the purpose of the different settings you can see in some of your plugins. For example, if you use WordPress or something else. So for example, this sitemap XML is a list with your important pages. And what you can do is, for example, turn on every page on your website, including if you use WordPress, every non-quality page to be in this sitemap XML, which is not good practice, because you need to send only a good pages which have a content and so on, in order to say, let's say, to Google that these pages are important. So it is not good practice to send every pages here, because in WordPress everything could be a page. So basically sending everything from WordPress to Google in sitemap XML is not a good practice, and you need to think which pages are important to have it here and add it to this list. So having this in WordPress is just clicking a button to set these page types should be included in sitemap XML. This should be excluded. And here you can see that we have a lot of pages and yeah, we have last modified and so on. So it is a simple sitemap. I will show you more advanced sitemap with a lot of pages. Here we don't have a lot of content to have a huge sitemap, but let's get here to see what's happening. And you can see the same format of robots.txt, user agent, allowing everything. And you can see that format here is a little bit different. So it's not big deal because we are sending those URLs to Google Search Console. But when you open those, you'll see that basically it is a map to another XML. So XML could be just saying we have a lot of XMLs and crowd this. Google is smart enough to follow those, and you can see that here we have a separate XML for specific brands. On the next one, we have sitemap for specific models, which are really extensive and so on. When you download here, download this content, let's try to do this. You can see that browsers can short a little bit the content you have, and when you open this one, you'll see that you see just a small part of what the sitemap is including. Here in this specific sitemap, we have specific things for every separate language. So for Bulgarian variant of the page, and for German and so on. So we have a very detailed listing of every page. So it is really advanced Sitemap.xml, but you should know that there is such, and if you have a language versions, it is also a good practice to include all the variants you have in the Sitemap.xml. It is included in Google official documentation, so I put links to those and you can check what the format is. But that's something really important. If you have a big website with language versions and so on, you need to send all those variants to Google and have it in such way. So that's the sitemap here. And yeah, basically a sitemap is must have, not only for huge websites, but if you have, for example, 100 and 200 pages, it is good to have also. And let's go further. Safe URLs. It is a good practice to have URLs which are basically not with dynamic query parameters. It is a good practice to have those type of static URLs which are not including these query parameters and so on. And the reason is that they're search engine friendly because they're easier for customers to type in first thing. It is easier to share and treat and to understand what it is behind the URL. So if you have the possibility, it is a good practice to avoid having these long URLs with query parameters and so on. So if you have this use case, you need to think about what your URL should look like. It is good to choose the search engine friendly URLs, which are static, separated with a slash, and looking like this example, not having the query parameters, equal signs, and so on. Canonical, it is a page which you basically help you to avoid the duplicate content. So like you see in the image, if you have a separate variant of your web page, you need to define a canonical tag to the main page, which is basically the true one. So it becomes a good practice to have the canonical if you don't have a lot of duplicated content. So just it is a must-have now. So you should know about it. I will show you an example now. But in short, it helps you to identify which is the main page for specific content. So for example, I think it will be clear to show an example. A canonical for the blog page, you can check it with this tool. you can check that here the canonical is this page. So basically, if we have different page which could have the same content, we should point the canonical to this one. What is the trickiest part is that, for example, if you putting some links and or sending some links to friends, it will add some parameters and so on. So it is query parameters. Here the important thing is that every duplicate which is possible, you should avoid it with having a canonical. So here the canonical should be everything from here to here without these query parameters. So if you check here, you see that we don't have these query parameters here. And if a Google, for some reason, have links to this page or something like this, he will understand that canonical to this page is this one, which you can see here and which you can see in the code. So it is really important to have this. If you check the code here, you can see that canonical is included in the HTML of your website. So if you're using the WordPress or some plugins for search engine optimization, it will add it by default, but you should know that you can have problems, and I can show you a problem with the canonicals. Here I see this today. It is a normal website, everything loads, everything looks good. But when you go to a product, everything loads as expected, nothing too bad so far. But when you check the canonicals, here you can see that this address mismatch the address you can see here. And when you open this one, you're copying, just open, you'll see that the canonical is really messed up and it points to a page which is without price, without picture and so on. So it is really nightmare because here this website have all the products with wrong canonicals. And when you are not able to catch this and not identify this one, you'll see a massive drop down in the traffic in some days. So it is really crucial problem. And you need to consider that having this knowledge is important for your website and your business. So here the situation is the same. Another product, another messed up canonical. And when you go here, you can see that it is pointing to somewhere else. So the canonicals should be basically to the page which you open without query parameters. So if you check this website, let's check it live to see. It is good practice to check an internal page. You'll see that here we have a canonical which basically points to the same address, which is good. And the another check is to check with get parameters and see the canonical is still the same. So here it is a good example. Everything is working as expected. And yeah, that's about the canonical. Let's go further. We don't have many slides till the end. Duplicate content, it is something you should avoid. One of the things to avoid is to have this canonical, because you see that the same page could load with query parameters and basically it load the same page. But it is not only the case. You can, for example, have the HTTP and HTTPS version. You can have www point version and so on. So you have a variety of duplicate content which is possible to have on your website. And what is good to have here is that if you have this one, like a duplicate content, you need to have only one version to the specific page. And if you have only one version to a specific page, you need to make a redirection from the duplicate content to the main page. I can show you with example and think will be easier to understand. Here on this website, I think here you see it is a normal URL address with everything looks fine. But if you point this one with capital letters, it loads the same content. So for example, for this address, we can have a lot of permutation and a lot of different addresses, which is pointing the same address. And if someone wants to make you not a good favor, it could add to Google Index, adding links to these web pages. You could add a different permutation or different variants of your web page, which is not good for sure. So what is the solution of this is to have just one page pointing to this one. So if you put like this, it is the good practice to make automatic redirect to this one, which is the page which is the important canonical page. So in that way, you can catch and you can protect your website from a duplicate content. And you can check all the examples which you can see in the presentation. So for example, here, if you put another a lot of slash under the after the URL address, it should point to the main address. Here, this one is done, but this one, which is the capital letter, is not done. So still work to have. And yeah, some live demo. I already show you some live demo here. So we have a lot of other topics to cover, but for sure it is not the time is not enough for just one presentation. Here you can see and you can spend some time investigating all the settings you have here, the external links, hreflang, and so on. So all of those are big topics. I put some links in the presentation, and I hope you can check it and see if they works for you. And yeah.
So that was an amazing webinar about the basics of technical SEO, and you watched every single slide that Simeon has put up with an example on a live website. Today we learned about different canonicals, different ways you can use Google, the site command, and also about Simeon's Chrome extension that is very useful to point out the canonicals. So Simeon, can you send us the link so I can share it with the people in the comments?
Yeah, the link to presentation is like this. It's a little bit
So
different
you can
than.
send it in the private chat. I've disabled screen sharing for you. So you can send it in my
Okay,
private chat
okay, okay.
and I will share it.
And
Awesome.
I'll share separately the direct link to the Chrome extension if you want. It
Yes,
is
that
in,
would be amazing.
yeah,
So guys,
yeah,
have a look at the comment section below because we have shared all the links to the Chrome extension and to the presentation that you which you saw today. And if you have any doubts regarding the presentation or the extension, you can always reach out to us and we will solve all your queries. So right now, let's proceed to the demo of Voxpow and let us show you how you can add additional functionality, that is adding voice search to your website by using Voxpow. So Simeon is sharing his screen right now, and he's already on a website that is Voxpow enabled. So this is a demo e-commerce website that we have made to showcase the power of Voxpow. And Simeon, why don't you tell us any command and showcase it live to the viewers?
yeah. Let's try do this. Yeah, it is e-commerce website. We enable Voxpow here for testing purposes, having some voice commands and so on. So here, when you open the website, you'll see on the left here we have a pull sync, which was one of the feature you requested already to have this interactivity, and we made it. So it show the customer that this website is uh, supporting voice search, and when you open it and set Blazor, you see a list with blazers or the matching which you found in the specific website. And when you open a specific product and you really like this product, you can talk to the website and said, I want this. And you, like you can see, yeah, it is added to cart, and when you are ready you can order one more time if you have the desire, but you can set checkout, and you go to a checkout page and just fill your data. And you can also, if you want to add something but don't want to type, you can go here, please deliver as soon as possible, and that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, guys, you have witnessed how people can actually use this feature to make the process of conversion faster. So, if I imagine this, someone coming to your website trying to search something, all he has to do is just click it and say whatever that he wants to search, and it magically gets presented in front of him. That's if you have a normal website. But if you have an e-commerce website, this gets even more crazier because it reduces the time from watching the product till the checkout, because all the customer has to do is come to the website, search his product by using voice, and the customer gets do that web page of the product, and all he has to do is add to cart, or maybe some fancy commands that you have programmed, that is, I want this, and the product gets added to the cart. And now he doesn't have to go again to a different place, etc. He just has to say the word checkout, and he's directly landed into the checkout page. Guys, imagine how powerful that is for your website. Imagine how you will improve your conversions for your website. And that's the power of Voxpow.
Yeah. And I start seeing that biggest brands started to already add voice commands and speech recognition to their website. I recently found this one, so it is a big brand here having search functionality with voice. So it is start getting really trendy, and I should recommend to take a look of our tool and to see how you can use for your website, because for sure in the next few months or years, 1 year or something like that, it will become a must have for every website. And the deal now is really, really good. And I think you should spend some time and read about all the features we have.
Yes, guys, Decathlon is a popular sports brand, not just in Bulgaria, but in India as well. We have
Okay.
Decathlon everywhere in India. And imagine if Decathlon is using voice search on their website. What are we? Decathlon is a very popular global brand, and they have implemented voice search functionality on their website. Guys, this is huge, and you can get on the train faster with Voxpow, and that too, getting it on a sweeter lifetime deal.
Yeah. And also booking.com is implementing in the mobile application, so it is really new, but it is obvious that big brands started to look at this, and it will become really, really big trend very soon.
So when it comes to booking.com, I personally did a case study looking at their website before, and they imply different strategies to convert a customer, like different psychological strategies. For example, adding that only these many rooms are left, and different strategies. Actually, if you go to booking.com, when you try to book a room in booking.com, you'll most probably end up booking it because it's psychologically influencing you to, and making it more easier to you to book a room. Guys,
Yeah.
booking.com is making use of psychology, wants to make it as easy as possible. And imagine if websites like top websites like booking.com, like Decathlon, etc., are using the power of voice search on their website, then it's time you get on the train earlier and realize the power of voice, having a voice search functionality to your website. And no one does it better than Voxpow, because Voxpow doesn't just add a voice search functionality to your website, it's growing, it's evolving, and it also integrates well with Google Analytics, and it also shows the commands that people have searched on your website. Yes, you can see all the commands people are actually searching on the website, and it allows you to, add the recommended pages. If many people are searching for a particular product, you can always you know make that product come online, have more of that product displayed on your home page. There's so many tweaks that you can do by understanding your customer, and that's just one feature that Voxpow provides. And it also has sentiment analysis, guys. Sentiment analysis will actually tell you if the person is searching for a positive or negative. Can we show the sentiment analysis module? uh,
Yep, you have aggregated, so you see that here you have the neutral. Here we don't have so much negative. We have positive like 9. It is pretty new installation, but you can see that, for example, if you check all, you see for every specific sentence that you can see which is the verb and so on. And at the end, you see if it's neutral, negative, or positive. So if you have a lot of data, you can see that, for example, your customers are sending not so good messages, they're not so positive, and so on. So you can track that also and be one step in front of Decathlon and Booking. So we have a lot of options which they don't have currently in their implementation. So here you can adjust if you want to show only on mobile devices, only on desktop, and a lot of things to tweak and to set up.
awesome, awesome. I was just making use of the mobile application, and it does work on mobile, it does work on desktops, so you don't have to worry about implementing Voxpow on your website. It's very simple, and we have a webinar coming up in the month of November, guys, that you have to watch. It's a no BS webinar on Voxpow, and we're going to show you everything from how to set it up and how to start using. Within the webinar, yes, it's that fast to set it up, no complications, nothing else. It's very easy to set up. It's plug and play. All you have to do is get out and get on the PG website and get Voxpow for yourself. So
Yeah.
so we are in the dashboard of Voxpow, and if you purchase Voxpow, you'll be presented with a dashboard like this, where you can use all these data that your customer is searching to improve your website.
Yeah, a lot of data, and you have also a dashboard with the statistics. If you want to track, for example, how many users are loading your website and what is the usage of your tracker, it is a live statistic. It is getting every hour updates. So here we have for today basically, and it will become more and more at the end of the day. So it is a live statistic. We spent a lot of time to make the statistic to be almost real time and having all this information here. So it is extending all the time, and we are adding new features. If you have some ideas, we can add it and so on. So we have some cool ideas in the roadmap. You can vote and so on. You have also statistic for for the whole account, not only for a specific tracker, but for the whole account. Like you see here, we have more than one trackers, and it is combined statistic and so on. So yeah, a lot of things. And basically, if you have different language, you can change here the messages at a different emoji and so on. Everything is switchable, including the design. So for example, if you don't like this microphone, you can just go here and make your custom CSS code, and it will work with your custom CSS code without any problems. You can change even the position, for example, put it here or someone else, and yeah, it is pretty extendable and configurable to your specific needs and desires.
Yes, and if you have any doubts regarding the custom CSS, etc., you can always reach out to us, Team Voxpow, Team PageGround, and we will help you out in setting up Voxpow for you. And this brings us to the end of today's session. that is on Voxpow, and we discussed a lot of stuff today. We discussed about technical SEO, the presentation. If you have missed the presentation, if you've just landed on the webinar, it's all right. You can check the comment section down below and get the presentation that we made about technical SEO. You can always watch the replay of this webinar. It will be available on Facebook. It will be available on YouTube, and you can always we also discussed about the SEO Chrome extension made by Simeon himself few years back, and it works true even today. Highly recommend you to go to Google Chrome and install that extension. Link to the extension is also in the comment section down below. And we showed you the demo of Voxpower and how bigger websites like Decathlon, etc., are using Voxpower. Guys, you are early on the train. It's just like reminds me of the Bitcoin thing, where people didn't actually, Bitcoin was very early in 2011, 12. People were having 40, 50 Bitcoins at that time. And right now, people want that one Bitcoin at that price. Even people are really, getting crazy even if they have one Bitcoin. So, guys, I want you to be early on this train, improve the user experience for your customer by getting Voxpow and by adding a voice search functionality to your website. It helps you understand your customer better, and it helps you market your products slash services better. And that's what Voxpow does, and that's how adding a voice search functionality does to your website. More convenience, more understanding, and more sales. And that's Voxpow for you. And today we are done with today's webinar. That's it. Thank you for watching. And thank you so much, Simeon, for the amazing presentation on technical SEO.
Thank you too.